Hello and welcome to CIO News. I am Khushbu Soni, your host for the broadcast and chief editor at CIO News. This is our exclusive interview series with Wonder Woman in Tech. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. It gives me an immense pleasure in introducing my guest for today and the Wonder Woman in the tech industry. She is Krishnakumari Palle, the Vice President and Group Delivery Head in Tech Mahindra. Krishna is a business leader with 22 plus years of experience in IT services industry, a results-driven executive with experience envisioning and leading multi-million Fortune 500 accounts and healthcare initiatives. She has great success in driving high performance and growth-focused executives with wide-ranging experience cutting across delivery, operations, pre-sales, and different platforms. Krishna, it's an absolute pleasure to have you today.
Thank you, Khushbu. I'm equally honored to be part of the session today and share my experiences with you today.
Awesome. Krishna, my first question is to you, if you can share a little bit about what your typically day looks like and what is that you do, what your day looks like, if you can share something on that.
Absolutely. So currently, as I mentioned, I handle the delivery and operations for a healthcare unit actually. And my primary responsibilities revolve around the key stakeholders, which are the customers and the associates, which are my teams.
Right.
So, of course, no day is ever the same. But I would categorize mainly, my interactions with these stakeholders into broadly thinking, doing, and communicating. That's what we call it TDC. And if you really look at the key focus, or my responsibility is all about delivery. So whether it is reviewing the accounts, the program health, the solutions which are delivered to the customers, the portfolio performances, how are the metrics looking like, what are the key challenges which the teams have on the ground, how are the solutions shaping up, with respect to the schedule, the budgets, and all of that. And also it involves key decision making for ensuring which is a smooth delivery and as well as the customer delight. I also spend good amount of time, which is in governance with the customers, whether it is the business review with the customers to hear their feedback, the steercom meetings, just to ensure that we are meeting the needs and the alignment to the vision and the expectations.
Right.
I truly believe, journey is more important than the outcome. If you're able to take care of the journey, the outcome itself will be, much more successful. So that's where I spend good amount of time with engaging both with the customers as well as the internal stakeholders, which is my teams, the associates, and as well as the competencies and other external stakeholders, as well as which could be the partners, the technical teams, the industry leaders, and others. As I mentioned, some amount of the execution too, but key amount of time is also spent for me on strategizing the growth, which is growth for our customers, growth for our accounts, which is transformation initiatives, building innovative solutions which can help our customers both in their change and the grow. Where we also meet with the industry leaders, the analysts, where we validate our offerings, the solutions, continuously to ensure that we are aligned to the marketing needs, as well as the industry strengths. Good amount of time I also spend on the entire workforce. Workforce transformation is a very, very key these days, and we all hear about it, right? Whether it is the team building, the workforce planning, the skilling, the hiring decisions, the leadership building, the mentoring, and as well as good amount of focus on the celebrations, the rewards, and all of that. So that's also I spend good amount of on the entire workforce. Last, but there is a continuous planning, in as well as execution, both in the operations and the delivery and the transformation initiatives, which help me in both the delivery and as well as the operation excellence for my customers and my teams. That's how my day looks like, spread across different every day.
Wonderful. Great. Too much on the plate for you. But nice. Good to hear that you're doing it so well. So, my next question is that did you always know that you wanted to work in the technology space? If not technology, did you had something else in your mind, as while you were younger?
So, absolutely, I think I was very clear that I wanted to be in IT.
Okay.
Partly, I would attribute the reason to the tech boom in the early 2000s when I graduated. Right,
Yeah.
the industry had so much to offer.
Right.
We were just reading about all the technology advancements. I know while we read about AI data science, but I feel very satisfied when I look back these years, where it's just not about, but where I was able to practically apply these solutions and see the impacts. I would take an example. This was one of a program which we have taken up for one of our emergency management a platform which we offer, the 108. This is about you're aware of the ambulances, right? I think when we took up the project, these ambulances are generally placed in certain, either near to the police station or to the hospitals and all. That's what you found them. But our interest was, how do we really reduce the time, right? How do we really ensure that the ambulance can reach the accident zones faster? So then we did this entire analysis using the analytics, actually, where you looked at the data trends, the peaks, the mark, the traffic conditions, the seasons, the time periods, all of that. And when we really looked at this data, it gave a totally a different outcome, where we ended up the hotspots, we called it, right? And it will vary. You don't need to position the ambulance at the same place, depending on the season, depending on the traffic conditions, and depending on the constructions which are happening, and the time and the day. You have to position these ambulances at different. With this particular project, we were able to cut down almost 30% of the time where the ambulance was reaching the patient. Now, what it would mean? It means the 30% more lives saved. So I really take a lot of inspiration, when you really apply such, the technology in the benefit of the citizens or the people. It gives immense satisfaction. Not only that, I've been, I'm very proud to be part of some similar challenging programs. Once again, I did back this to one of a dental insurance company, which we did. It was entirely a business transformation program, where we entirely revamped their systems, and it was all about a process transformation, a process which was taking about 90 days. We were able to achieve it in 10 days. The program was huge. We ran about close to about 2 to 3 years. But whether it was modernizing the systems, the redesigning of the systems, and an end-to-end automation of the process, a paperless process, it really yielded a dramatic improvement in the overall process, the operations, and as well as the cost too. So like that, there are many examples which I can share, but I just started this journey, with mainframes. Then it was a mid-range, and then the web-based. Now it is all a digital, whether it's an AI, analytics, cloud, IoT. It's been very challenging and enthralling experience in the industry, where I have been part of the programs to leverage the technology and as well as the domain too, right? Whether it's a healthcare domain, the insurance domain, where I've been part of it, to personally lead and drive these transformation programs by adopting, once again, innovative approaches, right? It's not that one size fits all, and different business models to create these impactful outcomes. At times it's improving the user experience. At times it was, reducing the cycle time. Times it was higher productivity, and at times it was increasing the business agility. I have thoroughly enjoyed every bit of, solving the complex problems, the challenges they throw, and building these solutions that really created the impact.
Wonderful. Great. I love the passion. My next question is, in fact, there is this always been a thought that, we don't see a lot of women in the tech industry, and and have felt that, gender has affected the way it is being perceived or treated. Have you ever been in a situation like that, or where, it was a difficult gate pass for you, and how did you handle it?
I agree with you, but things have changed a lot in the
Yes.
last decade. When I really look back, 20 years back, it was a lot different.
Correct.
It was a lot different when compared to 50 years, no doubt.
Yeah.
But yes, I have been, part of such biases, both conscious and unconscious, I would say the biases. When I really look back, maybe, I would take few examples. In my early career, it was my first project, in fact, in early 2000, where I was, that was my first project, and it was a huge, successful, and there was a go live success meet, and there was a presentation which was organized in a different place. And that was my first flight journey. I was very excited, where the company was funding me, and I was to be part of this meeting where I was presenting, the entire, the go live, the demo, and all of it. But what happened? One day before I get to know that, it was my one of my male colleague replaced that, and he was traveling. I was definitely upset,
Yeah.
and then I attributed, maybe, it's an experience which mattered. Maybe that person can bring in much more value to the table. But when I went and discussed, with my manager at that time, the reason was, we felt, it's a travel. Why to take the risk? It's a female, so we better thought that, we would
Oh,
go with a male. So I would contributed to both, conscious and unconscious bias. But
right.
that made me, definitely I mentioned that, and I used that opportunity to tell, and absolutely I'm very interested to travel, and I wouldn't mind to take up any challenging situations, and I wouldn't mind, able to stand up and express that view. And
Right.
not that I was in similar situations when, this was once again a great project which we were doing. This is once again in maybe 2005, 10ish, I would say.
Okay.
And I wanted to be really part of that program, because we
Right.
were building an entire uh, uh, a CRM system for a large insurance customer.
Okay.
You name it, everything was there. So I approached the project team, the program manager, and I said that I'll be interested to join this project. And we spent time. That took the, we had a technical discussion. They were very much, but I waited, few days. My friends who were my colleagues, they got it, but I did not get a call. So I was wondering, why is that so? So I
Right.
thought I'll go ahead and check with up, and I spoke to the program manager.
Right.
He happened to be my boss actually later, and we became best friends actually.
Oh, nice.
uh, and the reason, he said, KK, he mentioned that I really appreciate, your passion, and I know you're interested, but this is going to be a lot of hard work and extra hours, night shifts, because this is in the, it has both UK and US time zones. It will be like a lot of stretch, and I
Right.
don't think so. I would personally not advise, that you should really get into this. I was like, I am very interested. If you really are thinking that I'll not be able to really give my best,
Yeah.
then you're wrong.
Right.
Why don't you give me an option and
Right.
try it out, and let's see if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Um, I think when I took that bold step, it was never looking back. I think that changed my entire career. Even today, the entire team, that was the first where I was really awarded a pat on the back in the entire 50-member team.
Wow.
I will not forget even that single day of the project. Very complex and challenging, but on that particular project, I moved from a project lead to a project manager, and I even traveled on site to be an engagement manager for that particular account.
Okay.
So my advice, especially if the way I look at it is in terms of obstacles, my mind is constantly on an overdrive whenever such situation comes up. I view obstacles as an unavoidable opportunities to learn. My advice to anyone, when you really come across the situations is right, take back the control, do something to change your situation. And very, very important learning I had, and I always I try to remember is the tough situations, right? You can't always see the good from the situations when you're in the middle of it. But I grew a lot in those couple of years when I took up those challenging projects, crisis management, which has really helped my career. When I look at, right, women have successfully they have risen above every cliche.
True.
Not only in field of technology, but every walk of life. We really see a lot of examples.
Right.
I agree with you. The number of women in IT and technology is definitely lower than that of men, but things are improving. I see very promising future and a very conducive environment for women to excel. But I feel it is now in the hands of the woman to grab the opportunities and make best of use of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Awesome. Great insights. My next question is, what do you think is the best part of being a woman in the tech industry?
Great question. I love that. Personally, I feel very comfortable in the IT industry. When compared with other industries, I really, when I really speak, when I mentor some of them, when I mention this, and I also see more and more women entering the, finding their way into the tech industry. This was definitely, as I mentioned, different 20 years ago. But in my opinion, the industry is on the move. There's a lot more the industry can offer. The industry needs women, and not just for the numbers or just for the resources or the labor, okay? But because women bring value to the table, it's just not only about the best match, the skills the women bring in, right? The focus, the sitting, the deliverables, multitasking, the communication. But I look at why the industry needs women is because they bring in new and different perspectives. Actually, you consider the aspects which men miss out, and it's very pretty common, right? We speak of these techniques like convergent and divergent thinking and approaches for better solutions and innovation, right? The industry needs the innovation, the industry needs the creativity, and we need women to be part of good part of the mix, actually, to provide those better solutions to the world. And we all know the mixed teams unleash the greatest potential, right? So absolutely, I'm comfortable, and I see a very, very encouraging environment and a great days ahead for the women in the tech industry.
Very true. Very true. Awesome. Great. My next question is, in fact, the last question for you on the show is, any advice that you would want to give for women considering a career in the tech industry, and anything that you think that they should know while they enter the industry?
Yeah, no, I would break this into two problems, right? When you really look at, I'll come to that advice part of it, but it's kind of the half full glass, right? Or precisely, maybe there is definitely a marked gap, in terms of the representation from the women in the industry. But there are signs of movement, as I was mentioning, and we are moving in the right direction. But while we do mind the gap, right? We should also look out what works to narrow this gap. So women, we have come a long way. We see a good number of women at entry level, and but we equally see huge numbers dropping out, in the mid level, and and why is it so, right? When we really think about it, it's been a fact for me as well. I'm a mother of twin boys, and the question I used to get, when I was, how do you manage? How do you cope up? It's a fact. We need to choose the priorities, right? When you become a mother, when you are raising a child, and then you give up. Over and above, right? We have made a lot of progress, correct?
Yeah.
And then there is this unconscious bias, that it's still woman has to do.
Yeah.
We have moved, right, just prior to COVID, right? How much efforts have been made by everybody, right, to bring women to the work, whether it's a flexible working policies, work from home, remote works, child care leave, extended maternity leaves,
Right.
crashes in the offices, what
Correct.
not. I have been partnered where we really designed such policies in Tech Mahindra itself, right? And we said not just gender based policies, but also based on the experiences, roles, and all. But
Yeah.
still, we see this happening,
Correct.
Right? And so, what's the problem?
Yeah.
And recently with the COVID, right, everything was remote, everything was there. But why things did not change? I don't know. There was a McKinsey report which said the COVID-19 crisis, it had set women back half a decade. Why?
Yeah.
I would relate the problem. There is this unconscious bias. I want to stress now
Yes.
that woman still has to do. It's not just about the policies, right? There are the changes which have to occur, in the culture, in the personal and the familial relationships, right?
True.
Which can really bring in these benefits. And helping women target these pressing issues is not going to be easy.
Correct.
Because it's advantageous if the males in that person's life, right, or even the employers, right,
Yeah.
they recognize that there is this extra strain,
Right.
which is caused to the woman, managing the household responsibilities, the child care, the professional work all at once.
Right.
And then there has to be an attempt to try to relieve some of it, right? Because
Correct.
it's not about making women enter the game, but how are you holding them hold to the game and sustain that, right? So
Correct.
it's going to be on part of everybody, right? And then as a society, right, I think the culture also, right, where it has to change from a stay-home dads. I know the paternity leaves have got extended, people
Yeah.
take an advantage, but there's a long way to go, right, to bring in that shift, the homemaker dads, because it's about building the balance, right? It's not only about career, it's the caregiving is also important, correct? So there has to be focus on that, and that can only bring in where you open up more possibilities for women,
Absolutely.
not only to enter the field, but to stay on and advance. And I would say, from the employers, give opportunities where, invest in them, right, in their advancement, make them advance where they can make their hiring decisions, right?
Right.
And where they can serve as a role model and mentor for women entering the field. My advice, I think, to the women especially, it's an exciting industry.
Yeah.
With technology cycles shrinking, you're always on the forefront of innovation.
Correct.
But what would this mean? You need to be comfortable with the change and the fast-paced environment. So some of the important traits, whether it's being self-confident, having faith and trusting your abilities, and especially the embracing the change, right?
Right.
Some of it is true for men as well, right? Just not the women.
Yeah.
Whether it's the learn, unlearn, and the relearn, which we speak about the industry, right?
Right.
But for women, especially, I think ask for help.
Correct.
Take a break when needed, but come back to work if that's your passion and you want to pursue. And understand, recognize there is a flexibility.
Yeah.
Explore them. And when you look at tech roles, right, I would have spoken against the AI, the digital, but there's much more to the tech roles, right?
Yeah.
There's a marketing, there's a sales,
Correct.
there's a customer success, there's a relationship, there's a design, the user experience.
Correct.
There are many ways to participate.
Absolutely.
And the last but not the least, right, take the hard assignments.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of taking the risks.
True.
You'll grow them and you'll be respected for it.
Absolutely.
So that has been my main mantra. And I would say build on your strengths, just not only on the focus with weaknesses, but also build on your strengths. it will give you 2x time the success.
Wonderful. Wonderful, KK. I think these have been such great insights, and I'm sure my viewers or the women watching this interview will get good key takeaways out of it. So thank you so much. I think it's so good to hear that, especially from women like you who have, participated in taking that extra step and delivering it and successfully doing all your bits, right? So both personally and professionally. So wonderful to hear this story. And thank you so much once again. And pleasure to have you on CIO News.
Thank you, Khushbu. I only wish if I could make that small impact and add a drop to the ocean, inspire much more women. I think I would have really lived my passion and as well as the purpose of my life. Thank you.
Thank you.